WhiskyJason here, whiskey house there. Wow, I did my German introduction. Great. WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Whoops, click. I was in German world for 5 minutes. Today I have the third bottle of Waterford here from the Irish single malt whiskey, single farm origin. And this time it's a brand new farm for me named Ballymorgan, edition 1.1. So, 90 plus farms at the moment are working with Waterford. Waterford has the concept that they actually want to have terroir, which means they believe that the place where the barley grows is actually important, significant. Actually, we can taste it in the whiskey and that it differs between place to place. And I've tried some of the new make here from Waterford, and I totally agree. I'm not 100% positive yet convinced that we can actually taste it after 5 years, 10 years, or so on, or even 4 years in the barrel. So I need to have very similar, exact, almost the same type of things to actually compare with. And so far, I haven't had them from Waterford to actually convince me yet that that is something that I can absolutely get behind and say yes. So your personal opinions about Waterford would be very much enjoyed to read here in the comments. That'd be great if you could do that. All right, so each and every bottle has a code. In this case, the code is in the back of the box as well as the back of the bottle, F013E01-01, and then we can actually, we can actually go to a website which I'll show. It says ingredients. Ralphie would be proud. It says here Irish barley, not just barley, water and yeast. What is the only thing missing is then wood extract, but that's okay. Free from coloring, free from additives, and free from chill filtration. Distilled, matured, and bottled in Waterford. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I think they do actually have their, I was there 2 years ago. I was in the tasting room. I was at the distillery. What I did not get to do, what the Scotch Test Dummies got to do, was actually go to the warehouses of Waterford. I think they're in the outskirts of Waterford, so I guess that makes sense. All right, what we can do is we can actually add this little code, and we can go to this wonderful place, and we can see the farmer. In this case, farmer Robert. So this is his field. Hey, look, a wind turbine, which reminds me of northern Germany. So we have Robert Milne, and we have Ballymorgan. We have 1.1, and we can see that this harvest was from 2015, and it was distilled 2016, and it was bottled 2020. Always 9,000 bottles per batch, per farm origin, per bottle. Which means that in the there's a total of 36,000 bottles which are made for each year from each farm, and then the next year the same amount. And so what we have here is 1.1. So the first 9,000, 1.2 will be the next 9,000, 1.3 would be next 9,000, and 1.4 will be next 9,000. And then that year barley's gone. It's always a vintage. And then the next year we'd start 2.1, 2.2, and so on. All right, so this is actually 3 years, 10 days, and 23, 3 years, 10 months, and 23 days, and 50% ABV. So if we take a look here, we actually have a SoundCloud. We don't need that. The farmer here, Mr. Robert, actually only delivered barley for Waterford in the year 2015 and 2017. What happened in 2016 and 18 and 19, I have no idea. Here we have some pictures of his farm. You can see him there with, actually, I'd say his kids, who knows. Here we have the combine actually harvesting, which is the most important part. They got it in right before the clouds came and so on. Very, very nice. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. So the most important thing about Robert is not he himself, but is rather his dog. His dog is named Handsome, and Handsome only has 3 legs. I'd like to show you this little part of the video real quick. So you can actually see the dog, Handsome, actually jumping up there on the back of the truck, and his 3 legs, and that's actually amazing. So so look at him, happy dog, happy dog. So each and every time we can have the barley timelines. Waterford is about the barley. Waterford is about transparency. So we have the names of the distillers, James, Ian, Patrick, and Cian. And we have the date that it was sown, on the 7th of April, 2015. It was harvested on the 13th of September, 2015. And it's very, very important to get as quickly as possible to Cathedral. At the Cathedral, each farmer for each year has their own box. It's put in the box. It's at the right, excuse me, at the right level of humidity, the right level of moisture in the barley so that it doesn't rot or anything happens to it. And then actually it can stay there for like 9 months before it gets malted, which would be on May 5th in 2016. 2 weeks later, arrives at the distillery in May. It's actually started 1 day or 1 week later is the fermentation start. We can take a look down here, and we can see that the fermentation was 136 hours. Very, very nice. And the type of the variety of barley was Overture. So moving back up here, distillation started on the 1st of June, ended on the 4th of June. So 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. That's 4 days, actually. Wow, a long time to distill that, but there's a very slow distillation process there. Double distilled at Waterford, very important. They're used pot stills, and Mark will have to buy within the next 5 to 8 years, I think, new pot stills, but we'll see. He's running them pretty nicely there. And then it was actually at the warehouse on the 13th of June. So all the liquid in this bottle, in the 1.1, in the 1.2, the 1.3, and the 1.4 here from Ballymorgan, was all then filled on the 13th of June. So in this case, then, they picked out a quarter of the casks and actually married those casks then on the 6th of May, and they actually sent them to bottling on the 8th of July. Fabulous, fabulous. So, oh, my map is gone. I have to do this again. 1 second. So we can actually see where we are. So you can see the 4 fields that actually were used here for the barley. And if we zoom out here, we actually find out that we're up here in this area. So the Irish county meets. So a little bit further away from Waterford than maybe even normal. All right, good job. So we can see the soil profile, and we can actually talk about the casks. So we see here Jack Daniels were used fairly much. We see the premium French here from 3 different cooperages. And we can see here that the 4 different cooperages, I'm sorry. And we can see here that the VDN were in Oloroso casks. And the Virgin Oak came from Speyside Cooperage. Very good. So once again here, the barrels are bigger this time, and they don't match up. I'm sorry. I would like to have the barrels match up to the number of barrels on the list. It would make my life a little bit easier, or even just the percentages, 37%, 18%, and so on, don't really 100% match up. But that's just me. All right, very, very good. Let's go back here and say, wow, 1,000. Wonder what we'll get up to with the 1.4 we'll go up to. I have no idea. Very, very good. Okay, I'm sorry. Simon said Pilgrimage, selling for 1,000 euros plus in the auctions. Have you tried it, Jason? No. I wasn't able to get there beforehand. Actually, and this is what really angers me. The pilgrimage was the end of March. I had already planned to go to Ireland in the middle of March. And so I was like 1 week there before the pilgrimage happened. Those were our special bottling at Waterford, a cuvee, very limited edition, the first bottling over at all then from Waterford. And you had to go and pick it. You couldn't buy it online, you have it sent to you. You had to have someone actually go to the distillery and get it. It was, of course, canceled, the pilgrimage. And then a couple months later, they actually managed to do that with curbside pickup and so on. And it happened. But 1,000, wow. All right, very, very good. So, so now I understand 1,000 will actually go up to 1.4. Who knows? Hey, Malt Muser Whiskey Reviews. Long time no see here. I watch some of your videos sometimes. I don't always comment. All right, good to see you there. So what we have here is Waterford, and what we have here is, for me, the 3rd tasting of the evening from Waterford. And I'm going to actually try this. Ooh, Oloroso. I don't get terroir. I get Oloroso. Those cherry casks are so dominant. The French oak is so great. The Virgin Oak is wonderful, as well as the first fill bourbon casks. Everything's in here, and that's exactly what I want. Yeah, Simon, remember I was going to meet you about splitting the cask with Power Score. I bought the cask. It's actually, I did the bottle share or the cask share over here in Germany. So I'm sorry that happened maybe without you, Simon. Well, all right. What I wanted to talk about, and then I'm going to try this, is the fact that Marc René is someone who does not like finishings. So he says finishings, usually what happens, I'm going to use the word usually, according to him, you take a bad whiskey and you try to make it better with a finish. And I do know that some people have done that in the past. But I also know that there's amazing whiskeys out there that were really, really good and had a whole new level of complexity due to a finish. And I think that is a very, very, very good thing that we have finishings. Now, think of Irish whiskey and think of stout cask finishes. Would you really want to have a whiskey matured the entire time in a beer barrel? I don't think I do. It would be overpowering. But a finish actually adds that little bit of an accent, which can be fabulous. All right. Now, what WATERFORD does, and they get around the problem of finishings by actually creating so-called cuvées. What is a cuvée? You actually take the 4 types of barrels that they talked about. We have the Virgin Oak from America. We have the First Fill Bourbon from America. We have the French Premium Oak, and then we have the VDNs, in this case, Oloroso casks. And then you actually take those after they've been matured in those casks the entire, I'm going to say 4 years here, and then you blend them and you create a cuvée. So if you want to have a little bit more of a sherry moment, you put a little bit more sherry in there. You want to have a little bit more of a vanilla Virgin Oak, you put more vanilla in there. And you can actually vary the percentages, and they have to do that because those, this is 9,000 bottles, 9,000 times 0.7 liters. So what we have here, we're talking basically then about 6,300 liters of liquid. So if you take a sherry butt, which is 500 liters, and you take a second sherry butt, which is 1,000 liters, you basically have 1,000 liters from 6,300. So you're talking about 20%, 18%. Of course, you put a third barrel in there, and you're going to bump that up to about 23%. Or if you actually leave off 1 barrel, you're going to take it down then to actually way below 10%. So that is something you cannot vary that much because you need to actually gorge. You need to empty that entire barrel for these vintages. And so that sherry is something that is a little bit of a dominating factor here. The bottle that I just tried was the Bano Island. Let's see if I can hand those up. This actually had 3 sherry barrels in it. I like that better than I do this with 2 sherry barrels. I like this a lot. This is my second favorite of the 4 that we're going to try today. Malt Muser says, and I totally agree, I think finishes are a mixed bag. A good one is Lagavulin on Distiller's Edition, if you say so. I'm not a peat head, so I don't like Lagavulin. What was a terrible finish for me was Kragenmoor, Distiller's Edition. I think they ruined the Kragenmoor with that. Depends on who's doing it and so on. And really, 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 to be honest, finishing is something you need experience with. Now, I own 9 casks at the moment. My 10th cask is going to be filled up actually next week, the week after next. And the question is, if you let it set for its 8 years and you're not happy with it, how do you finish it? Do you finish it just a little bit? What cask do you use? It is a first fill cask, a second fill cask. How long? This is all a science and more of an art form that people actually learn how to do over decades. And me, I'm fairly new in this business, and I'm just learning. I'm learning from a lot of smart people out there. At least I'm trying to. And that's a very, very important thing about the finishing. So you can get it wrong. You can take a normal good whiskey and actually ruin it. I'm going to say Curragh from Irish, where they use seaweed in the barrels. I don't think that did anything as a positive moment. Or you can take a normal whiskey or even a good whiskey and actually make it something fantastic by using a great finish. Many, many times, Bruichladdich has done this as well. Here, yes, Kragenmoor was not good. That's exactly right. All right, so let's try this. 15 minutes in. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for actually having an interest in the bottles that you will not be able to have in the States. This is a Asian on European exclusive bottling. And so in America, you have to go to Scotch Test Dummies. They have the new bottles. Scott and Bart each had two, and they're going to do them together. Those were the bottles from America, and there will be constantly new bottles coming. So, and you have different farms than we do, and different regions have different farms. So, Going back to the tasting notes of the head distiller from Ned, he says on the nose he has green apple, milk chocolate, malty pears, dried fruit, rhubarb, and custard, but with more custard than rhubarb. I just love his descriptions. He once again, I love the second description, the taste. He says those green apples are coated with caramel. Yes. Cloves. There's actually some cloves in here. Custard once again, with a spicy tingle, with licorice and mint chocolate. I don't get the mint chocolate. I'm sorry. So a gentle heat lingers in your mouth as it slowly fades. Oiliness is left with a spicy chocolate. Good tasting notes, Ned. Well done, well done. So I don't get the cloves. I do get a little bit of the green apple coated in caramel. So nice stuff here. I'm not a great fan of the corks. Some people love them. Glass cork, blue, yellow colors from Waterford. Didn't know that either. Thank you very much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dilute it a little bit. It's 50%. And what has happened every single time is that amazingly it's gotten worse. I would never have thought that. So adding a drop of water here to the whiskey actually doesn't create a better whiskey, which often I have had, but rather a whiskey which changes in a direction that I do not think it actually should, which shows, and that is that art, that science, that experience of blending cuvées, of a blending of marrying, of vatting those 4 different types of wood together to create something which is magical, which is great. So with water, I get a little more of a little bit of sulfur moment from the sherry casks. And what is very, very unusual, each and every time I add water, I get more heat. It gets hotter. It's less ABV, and yet actually it appears in my mouth to have more heat and more direct alcohol in there. All right, very, very good. I love the bottles. I love the little rills here in there. It's actually like grip proof or slip proof. Very, very nice. The blue, you can still see how much you have in there. Also not a big thing. What I'm really looking forward to is trying many of these different farms. Oh yeah, by the way, talking here about the 1K for the bottle for the pilgrimage. The pilgrimage is the one you should have had if you're going to flip or you're going to buy or you're going to sell something in auction. That's the bottle everyone wants to have. These single farms, nah, the 1.1 is not interesting. When I have the 1.2, the 1.3, the 1.4, I'm not going to go back and go, oh, I really want to try the 1.1. We're going to be so happy to have the 1.3s, the 1.4s, the 2.3s, the 2.4s, that those 1.1s are actually going to be something that we don't even want to have anymore because the whiskey has matured, the whiskey has aged, the whiskey has actually become more of an art form after that time that's been given. 4 years is fairly young, by the way, but still it's actually a good whiskey. I paid €69.90, so 70 euros. I'm going to say about $85 for these bottles. I think that's too much, personally. Yeah. I know that the casks that they're buying are expensive. I know that what they're doing is a little bit more time intensive. Mark talks constantly about the money he leaves on the table by using his single farms. I think he talks about he produces over a million. He produces up to 1 million liters of whiskey a year, and or alcohol a year, and he mentioned something about over I think like 80,000 liters of alcohol a year he cannot produce because the barley he uses from the different farms is not of the highest yield. And that's, I thought, just very, very important to hear, because what we have is, I just showed in a different video on the first one that the tonnage, you have the tons of yield per hectare went from 6.2 to 7.2 tons within a time from 1996 to 2016. So over 20 years, we've actually increased the yield per ton on average in Ireland from 6.2 to 7.2 tons per hectare. And that's a lot. And how did that happen? By using special types of barley that actually has less protein and has more carbohydrates, more sugar. It's been bred, it's been actually developed, and this is what we have here as a consequence of that. And also the different places. If you grow barley up in the north of Ireland, where the winters are wetter and the summers are colder, and you grow barley in the south of Ireland, around Waterford, the breadbasket, the best place in Europe, at least Mark believes so, to grow barley, you're going to get more and better also yield, and that's very, very important. All right, thank you very much for watching. Whiskey Jason here. If you have any questions, please ask them in this video now or in the next video. My last video. This is a good whiskey. This is a 3, which is a C whiskey. Value for money is a C as well. Almost a C plus. I want to try the 1.2. I want to try the 1.3. I'm really looking forward to the 1.4. I'm really looking forward to the 2.4. That's it. He's only had done 2 harvests, and so there will not be, unless Robert actually decides to go back to supplying Waterford with barley, there will not be a 3.1, 3.2, 3.4, because you can only do it during that 1 year of the barley that was given. All right, thank you very much. Whiskey Jason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany. One last video I'm going to do together with you, and that time it's going to be about, oops, wrong one. It's going to be about Sheestown. Yay, see what that is. All right, thank you very much. See you soon. Bye-bye.